Those fingers, Owen.
Alright, we're still gonna go.
Do any of you have someone special in your life who
No.
makes you feel loved or has made a difference in your life in a big way? Well, today I'm here to tell you a little bit about someone who has done that for me, my grandpa. Specifically, 3 different things about him that made him very special to me. His boisterousness, how active he was in his community, and his mentoring personality. So he was a very unique and loving individual, but he had an ability to embarrass and just crack me up more than anyone else I've ever met. A specific example is he would always take me to car dealerships or stores, and he would be like, all right, Tate, see that car over there? Yeah, you go over to that car, and I'm gonna go over here. I'll be back in a little bit. And about 3 minutes later, I would hear him yell at the top of his lungs to find me because he had lost me. Now, he was just trying to embarrass me, and at the time it was horribly embarrassing, but looking back, it was very funny. He would do the same in the store. He would be like, see the cheese over there? Yeah, you go get the cheese, I'll go get something else. And then a couple seconds later, I just hear him yell throughout the store, and everyone started looking and panicking, and it was a great time. But he had no shame at all, especially when it came to talking to other people. He would go up to someone else and start a conversation, and no matter how awkward it was, he would keep going, and he would finish the conversation. One time in particular, we were at an Ace Hardware store, and we walked in, and he was like, Tate, I'd like you to meet Joe. Joe, meet Tate. And I was like, all right, hey, how's it going, Joe? He's like, yeah, nice to meet you. We found our stuff, and we left. And I was like, hey, Grandpa, how do you know Joe? He's like, oh, I didn't. I had just met him. I read his name tag. So my grandpa came into a store to a complete stranger, and by the end, they were friends. They actually had each other's numbers and continued to talk to each other over the next couple of years. And with his weird ability to make friends, he was always busy with that. He always had something going on. It didn't necessarily mean it was important, but he had something going on. So one day, I was sitting at our kitchen table, and my grandpa looked over at me, and he's like, tomorrow we're going to Wisconsin. I was like, all right, Grandpa, let's go to Wisconsin. Next day comes by, we're driving to Wisconsin. I was like, Grandpa, I forgot to ask, why are we going to Wisconsin? He's like, well, I had some business there. We are just gonna go get cheese. I was like, oh, all right. And Wisconsin's not that far away from here, but we took the longest route possible just because he enjoyed driving around and being around me, and it was actually really fun. And he tried to do a lot of new things like this, and the one that I remember the most is we actually went to an airplane breakfast. No context. It was just a bunch of people at an airstrip having a breakfast. My grandpa didn't have a plane, nor was he a pilot. We just went and had a bunch of breakfasts with a bunch of pilots. Even with all this busyness that he created, he still took a lot of time out of his day to mentor me and try to teach me all of his wisdom that he had. Many times that wisdom wasn't necessarily correct, but he still cared enough to try to teach me all that he knew. He tried to teach me how to be a man, especially. That's probably why I don't have a girlfriend nowadays. But we always did things together, and he always tried to teach me as much as he knew. And he always liked engines as well. So one day he came to our house with a present, and on the back of this trailer was a lawnmower looking thing, and he was like, you know what, we're gonna do a project, and we're gonna make this into something super cool that we can both be proud of. I was like, all right, let's do it. So we worked on this lawnmower that didn't work for probably 3 days, and we drilled holes in places where they probably shouldn't have been, but it still worked by the end. And it's still kicking to this day. It doesn't work correctly, but he still tried to share all of this wisdom with me, even if it was a little skewed. So he had his odd social habits, and he had his busyness, but he still took time out of his day to try to connect with me. And I believe that if anyone is lucky enough to have a person in their life who cares about them like my grandpa cared about me, they should count themselves lucky. We went on many adventures, and I loved him very much. My grandpa passed away about 4.5 years ago, and I still think of him every day. And I cherish the love, the joy, and the faith that he passed on to me. And I hope and pray that every one of you have someone in your life that loved me like my grandpa did. Thank you. So if you have any feedback for me on how I did, feel free to speak now.
It was good.
Thank you. All right.
You look comfortable.
All right.
I'd like to say that I feel like if I was doing that, that would have been rough for me, knowing that like the person had died to say that. So, good job.
Thank you.
You had good eye contact.
Thank you.
Nice job on your first try.
Thank you. All right. Good to go. Thanks, Matt.
No